New cards, new legendary, and some leaks confirmed.
Hey, buddy, watch this.
That's right. Two new cards confirmed officially from Blizzard. This one, the Fist of Ra-Din, is a new legendary, which is exciting. But this was also teased in a leak, so the existence of this card may, in fact, confirm the existence of some other cards, which I guess we'll now talk about in another upcoming video. But for now, we're going to stick to the review of these real confirmed cards. This one is a new 4-mana 1/4 for Shaman, and it reads, after you cast a spell, summon a legendary minion of that cost, and then lose 1 durability. So essentially here, we've got a nice 4-mana weapon, pretty basic, terrible stat line, but a ton of upside if you cast big spells. And in fact, even medium-sized spells are still going to pay off pretty good, because you could get 4 minions here while also still getting the value of said spell. So if you cast, say, an Earthquake, man, getting a 7-drop legendary is pretty cool. And it's after you cast the spell, so the Earthquake would resolve, and then you'd get your legendary. You wouldn't kill it. Same thing with Hagatha Scheme. It's not whenever you cast a spell. So that's an important distinction for Shaman in particular, because Shaman has a lot of like board clears that might be able to successfully work with this one if it is built this way. So I do see a weapon here with a lot of long-term value. Now, of course, always susceptible to weapon removal is a concern you have to issue with these sorts of things, particularly in a world where Zephrys exists and does pretty readily provide weapon removal. But keep in mind, if you just even get 1 proc off of this, you're still getting, like, say you play this in a Hagatha Scheme on the same turn, post 9 mana, you're going to get a 5-drop for 4 mana. And it's random, so it's not going to be a great 5-drop necessarily, but you're getting at least a little bit of value back as long as you get 1 spell off that's 4 mana or more. So if your opponent doesn't have that weapon removal and you get multiple, the value just starts to roll. Even if they get it off pretty quickly and you get that 1, you still didn't maybe pay that big of a penalty for the potential upside. So I don't think weapon removal is a really big challenge to this. We've seen things before. To Skull of the Minari, those sorts of cards worked okay. So I think Fist of Ra-Din's fine in a weapon removal world, and does indeed have quite a bit of upside. The challenge for this card contextually is whether or not, a big spell or a late game Shaman can really get there. Now, I will say, I think, getting a 3-drop off of this a few times isn't the end of the world either, right? If you just cast like some Farsights and Lightning Storms, you get 4 3-drops. That's still 12 mana in value for a 4-mana card. So, it's not like it has to specifically be big spells. That's just where it excels and, succeeds the most. So I think there are a couple different lines for this card in Shaman. It's probably not going to go in a strictly aggressive deck, because typically they're not going to care about spending a 4-mana low tempo turn for future value, right? They want to create pressure now. But anything that plays a little bit slower, maybe a Highlander deck of some sort, any kind of control deck that's running big spells, could probably squeeze this thing into their deck. I mean, if you think about Medivh, the card we saw in the past, with a very similar weapon, then he worked even as a slower 8-mana play. That was a good playable card. So Fist of Ra-Din certainly looks like it's going to work to me as well. So next up here, we have the Escaped Mana Saber, a new 4-mana 3/5 neutral beast with stealth, and an effect here that reads, whenever this attacks, gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. So it's basically like an innervate here that you get for a single turn if you're able to attack with your Escaped Mana Saber. And frankly, I think it should be able to attack fairly consistently, because 5 health with stealth is going to be very difficult to remove on turn 4 outside those random deadly shots. There aren't many things that are going to answer this very efficiently that early in the game. So any deck that's willing and able to play, a beast synergy card like this one perhaps, maybe a hunter that likes beasts, and for some reason wants to ramp into, say, a 6-mana play a little bit faster, Escape Mana Saber could be awesome. Just getting that 1 extra mana could go a long way, as long as you don't mind running a minion like this. Now, many decks just don't want to run this minion and don't care about that extra mana crystal enough to make it worth it. I don't think the payoff here is the reason, the sole reason at least, that you'd run this card. So like most decks, a randomly timed innervate at some point of the game on a future turn doesn't really do that much. But if for some reason you're happy to run this card anyway because of its beast body or the stealth aspect, because you're a pressure deck that's looking to get some free attacks through, then that's good enough to make this better than perhaps other 4-drops. Is it going to be a good card? I don't think it's going to be great. I still think it's got a lot of reasons you don't play it and a lot of challenges to overcome. But it is playable in those sorts of environments. So I'm saying, by no means is this an awesome card, but there could be a deck that finds an excuse and a reason to do this because it is offering you a few upsides. The stealth, decent stat line for 4, beast synergies, and a nice little innervate as well means that there's enough there that somebody could find a good reason to play this card. The Fist of Ra-Den is a 4-star card. Escaped Mana Saber is a 3-star card. And there you go, folks. That wraps it up for these reviews. I'm not going to put the leaks in this video because they are in Spanish, I believe, and I'm going to create some custom card versions of them for a future video, so stay tuned probably later tonight for a video that is not going to review the leaks, but will showcase them and discuss them at least a little. We'll wait for official confirmation from Blizzard for any of the actual card reviews, but still stay tuned if you're curious about what those leaks and my initial thoughts on them are. That said, share your thoughts on these 2 cards in the meantime, and until then, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.